Welcome, one and all, and happy spooky month! Man, I love making these intros. So, for this year's spooky manga, it's going to be a short one, but it tells a simple story about one man's descent into madness during a vacation, where he stumbles upon an unusual hideout. Hideout was created by Masame Kazaki, whose works include Green Blood, Mysterious, and X-Gene. Kazaki has always been a fan of the horror genre, citing Stephen King as his major influence, and he even went through his own horror experience during the process of this manga, like getting severe muscle pain after trying to draw inspiration from exploring a cave, to having an inflamed tendon sheathed in his wrist. But he managed to power through it and delivers a story that he hopes fellow horror lovers will enjoy. This one-shot single volume was serialized by Shukaku-kan's weekly Big Comic Spirits magazine from June 14th to August 23rd, 2010, consisting of 9 chapters total. The first chapter begins with a narration told by the main character Seiichi Kirishima, who in typical horror fashion laments if the story is ever going to be discovered by someone, as he's currently held up in a room somewhere by this lovely pair of bloodied wide-shot eyes. Someone needs to get this person some eye drops with that decades-long stare they got there. Hiroshima then continues narrating about how this all started when him and his wife Miki arrived on an island to revive their broken marriage. Although in Miki's case, she doesn't appear to be all gung-ho about rekindling their relationship, as she's disinterested at best and condescending and bitter at worst. But Kirishima doesn't let that get him down and takes Miki to a spot where he thinks they can make a fresh start. That includes going out in the middle of nowhere on a dark and stormy night with the car conveniently running out of gas. Geez, this is like the start of a murder mystery. And I'm not too far off with that theory because it's revealed that the reason for this getaway vacation is not because Kirishima wants to give his marriage a second chance or draw inspiration for his next manuscript as Miki speculated. No, the true reason is that Kirishima plans on murdering his wife and then using the vacation as a fresh start. I would say all this would have been prevented if they just gotten a divorce, but considering the events that occurred before the trip, this relationship was already doomed to fail from the start. So with his mask fully off, Miki runs off and manages to escape. However, Kirishima chases after her into a cave and attempts to finish her off, not noticing that someone was lurking behind him with the same bloodshot eyes that appeared earlier in the story, revealing it to be a child. Oh my god, what happened to you? Wait a minute, if there's a child here, does that mean that somebody else was with them, or are they Oh. Oh. Oh no. And that's pretty much the conflict of the story, trying to survive and escape the cave from this person. I'm going to try to do my best to avoid talking about spoilers, considering, as I mentioned earlier, this manga is only 9 chapters long, with each chapter except for the first one only having around 20 pages. But I will mention some story beats, so here's your small spoiler warning. Moving on, I would like to take a moment to mention the art style of the manga briefly. So here's a pro tip, try not to read this manga in the dark at the dead of night unless you want to get jump scared. Totally not speaking from experience here, but in all seriousness, I really do like the detailed realistic style this manga has. I cannot imagine the level of effort it took to create an eerie disturbing image, with harsh shadows, heavy creases and wrinkles around the face, and those eyes, man. I joked about how they needed some eye drops, but there's something unnerving about how the eyes are drawn bug-eyed that you can visibly see the veins, which leaves such an impression on you even after you finish reading it. And even when scenes take place during the daytime, the harsh lines and shading build onto the manga's dreary and macabre atmosphere, which is a good segue to talk about Kirishima's downward spiral into madness. While the story focuses on Kirishima's escape from the monster with a few surprises thrown his way, There are flashback scenes that are scattered throughout the main story to show Kirishima's life before the major occurrence that kickstarted this whole trip. There's no real explanation as to why there's a depraved zombie man with a kid living in an underground bunker cave, but it doesn't have to. Like any good horror story, the mangaka only needs to leave enough breadcrumbs for readers to draw their own conclusions as to what happened, which oftentimes paint a very disturbing and horrifying picture. As for that major event that happened in Kirishima's life, I didn't mention it before, but it does get revealed in the first chapter that the straw that broke the camel's back in Kirishima and Miki's marriage was the death of their son Jun. A death that was, yes, preventable, however, it was clearly an accident. But it doesn't matter to Miki and her family as they push the blame of Jun's death entirely onto Kirishima. Not out of grief, mind you, but monitoring it to pressure Kirishima into compliance. Okay, fuck you, lady. Kirishima did indeed play a part in this tragedy, but you're just as responsible for this as he is. Because she didn't make any effort to make sure her son was looked after, but considering her behavior and attitude during these flashbacks, I'm not surprised. At least Kirishima got his wish to see her dead, and while the ending of the manga was predictable that you can see a mile away, the sequence of events that played throughout this story does make Kirishima understandable to a certain degree. Doesn't excuse any of his actions, obviously, but it's a simple case of what will happen when a man who was pushed too far finally breaks. Ultimately, Hideout is a short psychological thriller that if you're looking for something to quickly binge this Halloween season, then I recommend checking out this manga. And let me know what your thoughts are on Hideout in the comments below. So, until next time, thanks for watching everyone. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell for more of my manga related content. I hope you have a decent day and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Take a deep breath,